Hello and welcome to the latest webinar in our International Education and Schools series. Rugby School Japan, a groundbreaking international school. And I'm here today with Principal Tony Darby. So welcome, Tony.
Hello, it's lovely to be online with you this afternoon.
Yes, it's great to see you. So obviously a very exciting time for you and for the school. So this is Rugby School Japan is a new international school which opened in Japan in September 2023. So you've been there a year now, or the school's been open for a year. So before you tell us a bit more about your experiences in opening the school, can you give us a brief overview of the school, what it's like, the ethos, the numbers, the nationality, and of course the curriculum?
Yes, of course. So Rugby School Japan opened in September 2023. We are, we believe, the first big British boarding school in Greater Tokyo, which is fantastic. And so we really feel we're quite unique. We are part of the Rugby Group. The Rugby Group consists of Rugby UK, Rugby School Thailand, and then ourselves now. And I was really honoured and grateful for spending 14 years of my career at rugby school in the UK. So I've really come to love that school, and what I've done in Japan is set up this school, really that I believe is authentic in terms of replicating what is in the UK. And so everything that rugby school represents and its ethos is really being put into this school, but with a Japanese twist. And if I give you a sense of the numbers and what we've been doing in terms of the recruitment and so on. So the school in the first year opened with around about 140 pupils. Mm-hmm. We go from years 7 to 13 now, although 7 to 12 in that first year. And those pupils were spread across all those year groups. We are a school that is co-educational, so it's girls and boys, and we're 50-50. And we're also a school that accepts day pupils, weekly boarders, and full boarders. And we're 50% boarding and 50% day. So I'm really pleased that we've hit those numbers in that first year, and then going into September. So just in a couple of months' time, in early September, we'll reopen again. We're somewhere in the region of 220 to 230 pupils. And again, that growth we're really pleased with that. And as the school grows and develops, we are going to maintain our culture. We've been really pleased with what we started with. It was, as I mentioned, a really authentic culture of what is at Rugby UK. But we've got a good mix of international pupils now. So we've got 15 nationalities in the school. Some Japanese, some have one Japanese parent and one international parent, but we've got all sorts of other nationalities, obviously British expats, others from Asia, such as Hong Kong, Singapore, mainland China, and then we've got a variety of other nationalities, such as Afghanistan, Egypt, and so on. So we want to be as diverse as possible, and that's really from the outset. We want to set out and have as many nationalities as part of Rugby School Japan as is feasible, really.
And of course, rugby is one of the oldest, isn't it, independent schools in Britain. So quite a contrast. And you've got a brand spanking new school, which is only a year old. Do you want to reflect a bit about how you build on such an old tradition and how the ethos sort of move forward?
Absolutely. I mean, that tradition, that legacy, if you like, and when I was there at Rugby UK was really a fully part of the culture, and that sense of a holistic education which developed out of the rugby way, really, the rugby ethos over the years, that boarding, full-rounded education that was really developed around developing character. And that's definitely something that we've carried on. And one of the things that I talk to prospective parents about quite frequently is what we're trying to do is develop character traits that are similar to what they do in the UK. So we know, for instance, that we invented the game of rugby, and William Webb Ellis was very brave when he caught the ball and started to run with it. And we want bravery in our pupils as well. And so we're putting in place lots of things both in and outside of the classroom that gives opportunities to youngsters to be brave, to take risks, but within a controlled environment. And so for us, this whole person, whole point philosophy is really part of what our DNA is, what we're about.
And so the gap in the market then that you're filling, I think we were chatting before, you really feel it's quite a unique offering that you have to offer?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that in Japan, there are very few boarding schools. So that understanding of what we're trying to do with boarding and that immersion that you get and that real sense of fun with developing connections is something that is not common in Japan. It is across Asia, but not particularly Japan. And then we've got our British curriculum. We do IGCSEs, we do A Levels. We also do something around the rugby curriculum, and we've developed a rugby learner profile as the UK have done. And so again, that is a unique sort of area, really. There are very few and far between schools that offer A-level rather than the IB. Japan, there are many schools that offer the IB. I've taught both. I prefer A-levels because of the specialisation in the sixth form. And having said that, we offer a very broad curriculum to all our pupils. So again, in comparison to Japan, where there's a real emphasis on, say, maths and sciences, we're very broad in terms of what we offer. So we offer, and we expect all pupils to get involved, certainly when they're younger, in art, in drama, in music, in design and technology. And these subjects are really important for developing skills and collaboration amongst the pupils, and so that it gives them a real sense of trying different things in different areas.
And how do you find families settle in Japan, and how did you settle? What was it, a culture shock for you as what living and working in a new culture, or maybe it was easier than you thought?
Well, if I start with myself, I came over in September 2022, having never been to Japan. I mean, I obviously knew Rugby School and there's a trusted brand there, but actually moving to Japan was really exciting, but quite scary. And that's one of the things that we teach the children to really take those risks and to really push yourself into new situations. The culture shock actually wasn't as great as what I was told and led to believe. And it's very easy to navigate, for instance, around Japan, and the culture itself is just stunning. The food is fantastic. The people are very, very welcoming. And so it put all those ingredients together. Actually, that year setting up the school was a really fun time, very different. And it's not difficult to make friends in Japan, and really that sense then of settling down there in what is a very different culture actually has proven not to be too difficult at all from my perspective. I really come to love Japan and traveling around it and so on. And my family really love doing that as well. We've had a decent number of families who have come over to Japan and relocated, often for work purposes, with parents and so on. And I've had lots of really good chats with lots of these parents who similarly have found it not quite as difficult as they're expecting, but there are challenges and there are differences. But having said that, ultimately, I think it's a challenge that it's just so different that means that it's something to look forward to, and they can be optimistic about it. And so, for instance, my son's coming to the school in September into the sixth form. He had a choice. He's been over in the UK at a boarding school over here, but we gave him a choice to come over, and he's very excited to come to Japan, and rightly so.
Wonderful. And then you're on the outskirts or in a smart city. Can you describe what that's about?
Yes. So we're 30 minutes outside the very centre of Tokyo by train. So we've got a train line just 1 or 2 minutes away from where the school's located, and we're located in a place called Kashiwanoha, which is a smart city, and it's been developed over the last 20, 30 years. Really rapidly growing town, actually. And it's a real hub for education. So we are situated next to Chiba University and also Tokyo University. And these are real two centres of excellence in terms of education. We've partnered up with both, actually. And for instance, with Chiba University, they've got a world-leading hydroponic scheme and our pupils have gone in and learnt all about that, and really interacted well with the professors there that have come over, and we've done presentations with them. And the link with Tokyo University is also ongoing, and we're really thrilled about that. So this is a real sense of a very family-friendly area, but at the same time, a real educational hub as well.
And I would imagine pretty innovative, the sense of drive and the importance of technology and cutting edge facilities. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, my background is that I taught economics for a quarter of a century or more. So I'm very much sort of in favour of teaching the value of entrepreneurship and innovation to children. And so what we've done here is we've linked up with a local organisation called COIL. And COIL is roughly 200 to 300 local entrepreneurs that are grouped together. They're about 200, 300 metres from the campus. And so what we've done is set up schemes for our pupils to work alongside a lot of these entrepreneurs. And what we are looking to do is really set up entrepreneur clubs and so on, so that the pupils at RSJ can really learn from them, but also take risks again in that controlled environment that we talked about earlier. And that's really important.
And your background yourself, you were an accountant, firstly. Yes.
A long time ago.
A long time. Yes, but that is still quite relevant, your understanding of what goes on in the financial world. And I'd noticed you've got some courses specifically for people wanting to understand more about the financial sector.
Absolutely. So, and we teach finance actually from year 7, and that's important as well. So again, it's about the children being immersed in real life understanding situations and getting to grips with life skills, not just those sort of theoretical science or maths lessons, which of course are very, very important. But at the same time, my accounting background gave me a real sort of understanding of business, and I think more and more of our pupils will set up their own business in time. It may be that they go to university first and they set them up, or even go straight into business. So we have to equip them with these skills if we're going to do right by them.
And on the as well as science, technology, maths, the STEM subject, how did you embrace the creativity and this sort of innovative, creative part that is the sense of this emotional intelligence employers are looking for? But I mean, it seems to be nowadays communication is really important, understanding digital, but it's something about the mix that an individual produces to their experiences.
Absolutely. I think from my perspective, having been in education for so long, what I've seen over the years is a sense of teaching to the test, which we're desperate to get away from. In terms of the educational pedagogy and philosophy, I truly believe that every child, every person is creative, and we lose that with lots of educational systems across the world if we're not careful, where we're teaching to tests, and that's not what we're about. So art, I brought over a teacher from Rugby UK. She's been absolutely inspirational, and the art is going from strength to strength, where we have art displayed up in the dining room for everybody to see in assemblies and things like this. This is really important, and she just set up a project actually where a local restaurant has now taken some of the artwork from the children, and so that's fantastic. Again, it's about creating partnerships and real enthusiasm about creating things. And we've had some recent dance shows and music shows as well. So we have concerts every week. What we do actually is have informal concerts for the pupils every Thursday lunchtime, where then as the children eat, then one of their peers plays music to one another. And again, it's a way of developing their confidence to play in front of each other and give them a sense of community as well. And it helps bind that community together.
And of course, very cutting edge in music, and Japan is seen to be leading the digital and certainly all these brands and all sorts of innovative things where young people could really run with.
Absolutely. I mean, Japan there are all sorts of interesting changes and differences in Japan, where, you know, as you say, it's well up there in terms of tech. We partnered up with Google actually recently, and we did a project where they and ourselves were encouraging girls into tech, and we had a group of pupils who went off to Google in Tokyo to do a presentation with them, having done a term's worth of project with them. So definitely cutting edge, and a great sense of trying to move things forward in the IT front and all these sort of different areas. And again, we have to accommodate that as a school and really provide for it. And we've just employed actually a new computer science teacher who's coming over with her family. And so that, I think we can provide even more of that in September as well. So we're delighted about that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Japan, great contrast as well, because you think of all the energy and neon and the invasion of the senses in some respects if you try to cross the road in Tokyo. But then there's also this sense of spirituality and calmness. And so how do you tap into those at all? Mindfulness, those sorts of things, yoga?
Absolutely. We have a program that a part of that taps into that, and I think that reflectiveness is a really important part of the education process, really, that to learn properly, you should be reflecting quite carefully on what's gone before. And you're right. I mean, Tokyo itself is a vast city of contrast, isn't it, with all the neon and so on. And we try to use that as much as possible. Lots of trips going in with theatre and music and so on, but at the same time, visits to the temples and the local spiritual places is really important as well to understand our place within that community, both locally and nationally.
So it's not just the borders. Now tell us a bit more about boarding, because I think the split is, did you say 80-20, something like that?
So it's 80-20 in the UK. In Rugby School Japan, it's 50-50. So we've built two boarding houses and opened two boarding houses in September. We've opened two more in this September. Then we'll open two more in September 2025. And those boarding houses, at the moment we'll have two girls' houses and two boys' houses, and each house has 60 beds in it.
Right.
But every pupil, whether they're a boarder who has a bed, or if they're a day pupil who comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning and leaves around 5:30 in the evening, has a study place within the boarding house. And generally, what will happen is that they will use that as their base. That's the area, that's the space, if you like, in the school where they will go back to. They will socialise. They will have snacks together. They will enjoy each other's company, and that's really important, because for me, what I've seen time and time again is boarding schools really build those strong connections, and that's what the school is really about. That sense of creating those sort of lifetime experiences. And I've seen it time and again where boarding schools, the pupils within those schools keep in contact with one another all the time now. And of course, it's easier with social media now. But those connections are very, very deep. And we've seen a migration already away from day pupils into weekly boarding. And our weekly boarding offering is that they can come in on a Sunday evening or Monday morning. It's their option. And then they leave on Saturday lunchtime. And we have Saturday school, some lessons and some activities. And then they can leave after that. And that's proven really popular for professional parents, say in Tokyo, who then they know that their children are safe and looked after and enjoying their lives, and they get to see them at weekends as well.
And that obviously fits very well with the changes in working patterns for dual career parents as well. And we've picked up quite a lot that employees can be based in one part of a region, so maybe in Japan, but have to travel extensively across Asia. So that works well.
Absolutely, and that's where the full boarding comes in, where the pupils stay with us across the week, and then every third weekend we have off, where they then, as a leave weekend, which is very common in the UK, and then they have the weekend to just have some downtime and spend a bit of time with their family perhaps, and then come back to us. But that sense then of us looking after the children and that holistic approach is really important.
And strong sense of pastoral care all the way through. And you yourself were house master for many years with boys and girls.
Yes, absolutely. So the house system that we set up, these boarding houses, mirror exactly what is at Rugby UK. So there are 3 members of staff in each boarding house. So a housemaster or housemistress, an assistant, and then a resident tutor. And then each day we also have a what in the UK is called a matron. We call them a house assistant because I think the word matron is a little bit antiquated, but that's fine. And so there's always people on hand to look after them and make sure really that there's a sense of really thriving within that community.
And we've talked a little bit about extracurricular on the creative side, but what about sport? Because I know you're a keen sports person yourself. Tell us about the opportunities there are for sporting activity.
Yeah, we expect every pupil to get involved in sport, and time and again, all the studies have shown how important physical activity is to well-being and improving well-being, but also just for the enjoyment's sake. And so we expect and built into the curriculum sport on a minimum of 3 times a week. But if you enjoy your sport and you want to specialise, then you'll end up doing it a little bit more than that. And we've started to develop fixtures with local schools and other international schools in the vicinity and so on. So we offer a variety of sports. Team sports are obviously very important. I think team sport, you learn so much from being part of a team, whether it be rugby, and clearly rugby is important, or football or basketball. So we play a variety of team sports. And then we've got other individual sports such as tennis, swimming we do as well. So there's an absolute program for all year groups to go through, but with a little bit of selection on the part of the pupils as well.
Brilliant. Plus the entrepreneurial club, they'll be fully rounded young people and very busy. I imagine very tired as well. So what about after school and progressing into careers or university? Have you starting to get a bit of a feel for where young people may head off after they've been to Rugby Japan?
Yeah, so we know that we're a stepping stone in many respects, and what our job is to prepare the youngsters ready to go on to whatever path they want to go on to. And one of the things that I saw time and again at Rugby UK was the aspirations of those children, really, be it to go into UK universities or American universities or Asian universities. And that's exactly what we're doing at RSJ in terms of preparation. So we've got dedicated staff that can do that. We've also got access to Rugby UK's careers office as well. And what we're seeing is we didn't start with any year 13. So we started with year 12s last September. So they're now obviously going to progress through year 13 and they're thinking quite clearly about what career paths they want to go into and what university options are. Some are looking into Ivy League universities in America. Others are looking at Russell Group universities in the UK, Oxbridge and Imperial and UCL and LSE and so on. And then we've been a little bit surprised, but we've got international pupils who are now looking at Japanese universities. And we shouldn't be surprised because obviously I've just said that what a fantastic place Japan is to live. And what they're looking at are English-based courses at places like Tokyo University, at Waseda, at Keio. And so we're helping those students to make sure that those applications go smoothly and we give them the very best opportunities to get into those universities.
Brilliant. And then the other thing parents may be a bit concerned about is AI and technology and how that can be used for good and evil. So what's your view as an educator on the role of AI?
I think
technology?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? How I think that things are moving so quickly with AI that there's lots of fear in not just in education but across other sectors. I would see it as an opportunity. There's a real opportunity here, and part of our educational philosophy is really asking the pupils to be problem solvers, to work within teams, to really move away from that sort of emphasis on knowledge. And the knowledge, the AI can help with the knowledge, and we know that, and can help with certain tasks, but actually it doesn't solve everything. And it certainly doesn't make you appreciate a beautiful play or a beautiful piece of music and such like. So I think there's still lots and lots of opportunities for education to thrive, and AI should be seen as something that can assist rather than something that is a complete threat.
Yes, well, thank you for that. And then Japan itself, if people are considering going to Japan, obviously you have rolling admissions. It's always can be last minute education needs. So throughout the year, entries, people can get in touch.
Yeah, so our admissions process is ongoing throughout the academic year. We're not like Rugby UK, where you have to apply at certain points for certain age groups. We have a rolling admissions process, and partly because the population is so transient, and also because obviously we're establishing ourselves as a school within the area and the region, and so we have got a small number of places in year groups across the piece, really. So. And in terms of admissions, we test on English, and then what we do is a CAT 4 test. So 4 different tests, standardized tests, really looking at a similar, I guess, to IQ tests. But most importantly, we also interview, and it's where we're really trying to find out the values of the youngster and understand what really makes them tick, what makes them curious, and what their values are. One of the common questions I ask is, when were you last kind to someone else, and what did that entail, really?
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. It's been a fascinating conversation. And just a final point, I mean, what's the situation like in Japan, do you think? Is it an optimistic place to be in the world?
I've been in Japan now almost 2 years, and I think it's a very optimistic place. There's a real sense of Japan being on the up at the moment, and it's not just, I think, the weak yen. I think there's a sense of, post-COVID, lots of tourists coming in, but also a real sense of changes afoot. And it's one of the reasons why I think Rugby School Japan was established. That sense of Japan and Japanese parents and Asian parents really looking outwards rather than inwards, and really developing a sort of global mindset. And so that for me, it's a great place to be at the moment.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. I know we've had a lot of interest in people wanting to know more about Japan and schools in Japan. So thank you very much for sharing your experience. And I'm so pleased that coming and living and working in Japan was easy for you. And I'm sure parents will find the same thing with their young people. So thank you very much for joining us today. We've been talking to Tony Darby, the principal of Rugby School Japan. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful second year with the school.
Thank you so much for the time today.
So we've been talking today to Tony Darby, principal of Rugby School Japan, and here are details of Tony's experience. And you can also find out about admissions information in the following slide. You've been listening to this webinar with myself, Fiona Murchie, Managing Editor of Relocate Global and Think Global People. And we're a multimedia with plenty of support on international education and schools. So here's the contact details. Do get in touch. And as you heard, there are rolling admissions. Relocate Global and Think Global People have well-established resources for international education and schools, supporting mobile families around the world. And you can enjoy our online International Education and Schools Fair in the spring and autumn. Plenty of resources in our Guide to International Education and country guides, where there are all the latest information on new featured schools, plus articles, videos and webinars like these. Please enjoy our digital magazine, which is available on both our websites and regular e-newsletters. So thank you for joining us.